everyone, it's JoJo from Mojo Jojo Plans, and today I'm coming on to just show you a quick video of how to make your own words that you might need as we start to prep and plan for 2024. I'm starting to make some pages, so I wanted to get up a quick video just how I've been going about making my own words and having my Cricut print them out. This goes for a Cricut. I do not know how this would work with any other cutting machine, and then obviously if you don't have a Cricut and you just want to hand cut, you could totally do this just on a regular Word document or whatever your thing has, and then you can just manually cut them out yourself, but you could just print them on sticker paper. But I kind of want to just go over really quick how I make mine, because I promised you guys I would, and I'm just now getting to it. But I'm about to make a couple more pages for my 2024 planner, and I was like, let me show you how I'm gonna make these, just so that way you guys can see that part. So let's go ahead and dive in. So I have my Cricut design space open. I'm gonna click on a new project and open up, so that way I can get ready to make the words that I'm wanting. Now, I love using fun fonts. You can use fonts from Cricut, but they do cost money, which is really annoying. You can also use whatever your computer has. So what I like to do is I like to go over to defont.com, and I will have that linked down below, because you can get free fonts on this website. Now, that being said, they are free. You cannot use them for if you wanted to sell something. If I were, I couldn't use these in my sticker books, basically. These are not fonts that you can use for selling, so do not use this website for that. But for personal stuff, you could definitely use it. So I'm going to pull up the website right now. So the website is going to look something like this when you pull it up. Again, it's literally just this defont.com, and you can literally find so many fun fonts on here. They have categories. I honestly really like this one, so I don't really want to lose that. So I'm actually going to open it in a different font, because I think I might do this one. But there are so many fun fonts. They have all these different categories up here, and then you can find all of these fun fonts, so you can find exactly what you are wanting for your planner to put in your planner. And this would also go for maybe you want to make your own name, put your name in your planner. You can make your own of those. So literally the same steps we're going to do in this video, you can literally do using all of these methods. So anyway, so you can literally find whatever you want. If you are more of a script person and you want a really pretty script font, I know I have some fonts from, I think I have one that's similar to this one somewhere. I think it's called I Heart something, I Love something, I can't remember. But there are just so many different fonts, so you literally can find whatever it is you're wanting. I think I'm going to go with this one. I kind of really like how this one is. And what's really cool is you can type in something and get a preview of what that's going to look like, so that way you have a better idea, do I actually like this font? So this is what my name would look like. Some of the words I'm wanting to make, I want to make my TV show tracker, and so that's kind of what that would look. I actually really like that look. Or even I'm gonna make a movies tracker. So these are some things I'm planning to make, and I do like that. But what if I have all of the letters capitalized? So you can literally go through and see if you like that font with the words that you're thinking of using. Again, this is for personal use. You cannot use these fonts to make something and then sell it. So keep that in mind. Don't think oh, this is it's easy to make these, I'm going to make other people, I'm going to make their name fonts and I'm going to charge them. You can't do that. That's illegal. You cannot do that with these fonts. There are websites where you can actually purchase fonts, and then you can purchase the rights to be able to use them. But that's not this one. We're going all free for this one, because this is just for my personal planner. So I'm going to go over here to download, and I'm going to click and download this. Once it's downloaded, sometimes you need to open Like I have like this Express Zip thing for some reason, but I'm just going to go ahead and get this downloaded to my computer. Once that's downloaded, you're going to be able to open something that looks like this. Usually there will be a print and then there's an install button. So I'm just going to click install, and what this is going to do is it's going to install it into my computer. You don't really have to do much else with it than that. It's going to install it to my computer, and then I can go back to my Cricut design space. Once I'm back in my Cricut design space, I'm going to click this text button over here, and a little text box is going to come up, and now I'm going to go and change that. So I'm going to click on system, because again, if I stay in Cricut, you can see there's all these prices here. They're going to charge you, and I don't got time for that. So I'm going to click on system, and then I'm going to look for the font that I just uploaded, which the one I just uploaded was called Country Market. And so I'm just going to click on that, and then now that changed this text to what I want. I'm going to go ahead and type in the first word that I want. I'm going to do movies. And just for the sake so I can see. So right now, if we look, this is actually a basic cut. So up here where it says operation, this is a basic cut. This basically means this is what's going to cut out exactly like this. And you can see there's areas in here where it's going to cut where I don't want it to cut. But this is basically what I would use if I wanted to cut this out on like a piece of vinyl. I don't necessarily want to do that. I want to cut this on sticker paper. So what I'm going to do, the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to combine all of these. I don't know if you can see, but there's lines here. That basically means it's going to cut these words separately. So right now, this cursive font is not connected together. The way this is going to cut is it's going to cut all of these words out separately, and then you're going to end up with a bunch of chunks of these letters. So I'm going to go over to combine, and I feel like I don't honestly know the full difference of it, but I usually either click weld or unite. It honestly just depends. I'm going to go ahead and click unite for this one, and we're just going to see what that does. I haven't really had an issue with either or, but we're going to use unite for this. And now you can see those lines are gone. They are no longer there. So now it'll cut all of these words as one, which is exactly what we want. Now I'm going to go up here where it said operation. I do not want this as a basic operation or like a basic cut. I want this to print out on sticker paper, and then I'll have it cut out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to print then cut. It looks a little bit different now that it's print then cut, but that's exactly what I want. Now, you may be asking, well, this may work. If you really want it to cut out this thin, that's great. However, I will say pulling this up on sticker paper might not be the easiest. You're most likely going to rip it, so I like to add a little bit of an offset. Now, the nice thing about doing this is if you print your sticker paper, if you print this on clear sticker paper, you're not going to see that offset anyway, unless you make the offset any other color other than white. So if you're doing this on clear sticker paper, it's just going to be that clear little offset that goes around, and honestly, it's just going to make it a little bit easier to pull it up, and it'll help connect the eyes dot. If you can see right here, here's the eye, and then here's a little dot. Those aren't connected, so that means you're going to have to stick this little dot down separately. So I want to make it offset. Thankfully, Cricut Design Space added this offset button, so I'm just going to open that, and you can see this little blue line pop around. Sometimes I'm like, that looks good, I want to keep that. You can adjust this little scale to see just how big. Honestly, I'm planning to print this on clear sticker paper, so it's really not going to bother me too much if this offset is a little bit on the bigger side. Now, if you're printing it on white paper and you want to not have as much of an offset, then you can definitely change that down. You might just have to play with it, but just keep in mind, the thinner you go, especially with these script fonts specifically, the thinner you go, the more chance you're going to rip your sticker when you pull it up. So just kind of keep that in mind. So I like to go a little bit thicker with a script font. Now, if I was using a much thicker font, I wouldn't go this thick with the offset. Okay, so it's gonna change that to black. Obviously, I don't want this to be black, so I'm just gonna go up here and I'm gonna change it to white. What that's gonna do, again, because I'm printing this on clear sticker paper, that color's not gonna print, it's just gonna be a nice clear offset. Now, my word here, I do have to change the color of. And this is very basic, and I feel like The only bad thing about Cricut Design Space is you can do very basic color. I'm sure you could probably find a color that you like, but for the sake of this, I just like a good old black. So I'm going to make sure I click black, because what it was on before was more of like a dark gray, and I want this to print black. So this is the first step, okay? So I have my word. You can kind of see the offset. You know, I'm going to change the canvas color just so you can see a little bit better. I always change it to purple because I just think it looks better. But now you can see, so I have my offset around here. And if you're okay with these, like honestly, I don't really care if it has these. It just means it's going to cut these little tiny things out. The easiest way I found to not have it do that is to just grab a shape and just size it down. And then again, we have to change it from basic cut. We're going to change it to print then cut. And I'm actually going to change this to white. And usually what I'll do is I'll go in here and then I'll just make a couple of copies of those. And I'll cover these up and then I'll send them to the back. So I'll show you so that way we don't... I'm like making this confusing already. But I'm going to send these to the back. Okay, so now those gaps aren't there. However, those pieces are not connected. If I were to take... actually, none of this is connected together. So if I were to take my offset and that and move it, they're still just chilling there. So we want to connect them. So I'm going to put this back again just so that way I can't see those little holes in there. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to grab the offset. Which, why does this? Okay, well, I'm going to make it smaller in a minute. So I'm going to grab my offset. I'm going to grab the circle and the circle. And I'm just clicking Control on my keyboard to grab all of those. But I'm going to click all three of those. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click either Unite or Weld. I'm just going to click Unite. And it's just going to make it one piece. So now it puts it all together. So now if I move it, I'm moving my circles all together with it. Now this did move this above my movie, so I got to take my word here and I got to bring this back to the front so that way it can be on top. Now I need to connect these two things together. So right now they are not connected together. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to grab both of them, just dragging and click, and I'm actually going to go to flatten. What flatten does, or at least what I in my experience has done, is it groups these two things together, but now when my Cricut goes to cut this word out, it's only going to cut around the white part. If I do not click flatten, what's going to happen is it's going to cut around the word on the inside, and then it's also going to cut around the offset. And so then when you go to pull up your sticker, you're going to end up pulling up the inside by itself and then the outside by itself, which obviously defeats the purpose of putting this around. So I always click the flatten button. I have learned the hard way and not clicked the flatten button. And then all of a sudden I have it. It's like taking way longer than it should to cut this out. And, you know, it cuts it really weird. So now is the time to size this. What size do you do? I'm making this for my classic happy planner, and usually what I will do, I'm grabbing a ruler right now because I'm a visual learner. Usually what I'll do is I'll pull out a ruler and I'll just like hold it up to my planner page and see if I were to make this and put this on a sticker page, how big would I want it? I'm thinking about 4.5 to 5 inches is a good size as far as the width of this. Right now this is 6.5 almost. So you can go up here and we can just easily just change this width number to 5. And now it changed it to 5, and it's automatically, currently it's automatically adjusting the height, which I think about 1.5, it's a little over 1.5 inches. I feel like that's a good height. So I'm going to keep mine around this size. Now I'm not going to stop there. The goal is to fill a sticker sheet if you don't want to have to go through this process multiple times. So what I'm actually going to do, and what helps me, is I'm going to grab a box, drag it in this corner. I'm going to click this little lock button so I can change this box to whatever size I want. Otherwise it's going to stay proportionate and I don't want that. And I'm just going to drag this box out to about here. And basically what this is my sticker sheet that I'm cutting on. I think, I don't remember the dimensions for a print and cut for Cricut, because I don't do it as often anymore, but I think it's 6.75 by 9.25, I think. So I'm going to make this, so 6.75 by this 9.25. I'm just going to do that, and then I'm going to send this to the back, just so my word is on top of that. That way I can see when I make this on my sticker page, that's how big, and this is how much more space I have to fill up, so that way I can just get all the words that I want all in one shot. So I need the word movies, and I actually need this word twice because I make 2 different pages. So I'm just going to click Control C and then Control V for copy and paste, or you can go copy and then you can go paste with a right click, whatever that is for you on your computer. Sometimes I like to get fancy and see how I can orient these to fit as much as I can on these pages. So sometimes I'll flip things around so I can put things closer together and kind of just take up as much space as possible on here. Okay, so we're going to make another word. So I'm going to go back to text. Right now it's still set to that word, which I think is great. I'm going to write at home because I like to do a version of my movies page of movies that I watch at home, like, chilling at home, and then movies that I watch at the theater. Like, we went to the movie theaters in order to watch this. So I'm going to do an at home and at theater sticker as well. And something too, if I can zoom in on this part real quick. And something, say I don't want these 2 words that far apart, we can go over here to letter space, and if we go down, it'll move the letters a little bit closer. You do have to keep in mind though, because this is a cursive font, like this A is starting to peek out there, so I'm not going to go that much. Maybe like there, just a little bit, just getting them a little bit closer together. Too much. Right about there. I'm going to go down to combine. I'm going to click unite, so that way it turns it all into some cursive. Those are connected. Obviously this word's connected, and then this word, they're not going to connect together. So I'm going to do the same thing for the second word. Connect, connect. I'm going to go up and turn these into print, then cut. And then same thing for this one. I'm going to change this to a print, then cut. I'm also going to change the color. Currently it's just like a dark gray. I want it to be black, so you can kind of see the difference there. So you gotta make sure you change it to the color. Now, if I don't want it that color, you could change it to a purple. I could change it to a blue. My computer's lagging. You could change it. You can also go through this slider scale and, pick a color that way if you're wanting to. But I'm just gonna do black because I like to have my stickers that I'm using for my spreads be what, has the color. All right, now I'm going to create my offset. So I'm going to click on here. Look how big, that same size, the 0.25 that we used over here, looks huge on this one. So I'm just going to mess with this scale. And these are 2 separate words, so I'm just going to be okay with them being separate with the offset. You definitely could have these be bigger, so that way it's one offset. If you want them to be connected, you can totally do that. I don't really care for this one. And honestly, now I think of it, maybe I just want home and theater. I don't necessarily need at home and at theater. So I'm actually going to take away the at. I don't know what I was thinking. Let's just take away the at. We're just going to do home and theater. Call it good. Again, 0.25 is way too big. So I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller, 0.097. Click apply, and then we want to change that color to white. And I'm going to do the same thing to this other one. Apply. It does remember the size that I had it previously, so that's kind of what it just keeps it to. Now I'm going to grab both of these because there's no extra holes in this one like we had in the other one, but I'm going to grab both the offset and the word. I'm going to go down to flatten, and I'm going to click flatten to flatten those 2 things together, so that way I make sure it's only going to cut around the white and not the black. Do the same thing with theater. Click flatten, call it good. Okay, so I want these to be a little bit smaller because these are just going to be like off to the side. So like I'm planning to put like either of them right next to it or right underneath it, something like that. So I'm going to make these pretty small. Isn't it crazy when you use different fonts? Like that does not look like that's how you spell home. And it bothers me so much, but sometimes I feel like fonts just do that. Like different fonts all of a sudden look crazy. So I'm just going to throw this in this little space there. Okay, so my first 2 words are done. So again, going through those same exact steps. Again, you can change fonts if you want to. I think I want to keep all my fonts the same. I know that's super boring. I'll show you what these would look like if I did them in a different font. But the other one I'm wanting to do is TV shows. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do these words separately. So I'm going to do TV, and then I'm just going to copy and paste because for some reason that's easier than clicking the text button for me. And then I'm going to write shows. So again, following all of these same exact steps that we just did together. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to unite them. Combine those, so now my T and my V are connected. Same thing over here with the shows. I'm going to click unite, and now my shows are connected together. Then I'm going to go up to operation and change to print, then cut for both of them. Print, then cut. Then I'm going to go and change my color. Make sure that it's black, because the color that is already selected is not black, it's a dark gray. So unless you want dark gray, you know, make sure you go in and change the color. All right, now I'm going to go in and I'm going to do my offset. It's set to what it previously was when I did these ones. I feel like that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And while we're here and have it selected, I'm going to go ahead and change it to white. I'm going to go over to my shows, do the same exact thing. I'm going to click apply. Now you can see there is a gap in here. So I am going to go ahead and change this to white. And before I do anything else, I'm going to go and just grab a shape. I feel like circle and squares are usually the easiest to fix things. You just basically want it to fit over this area because it's going to go to the back anyway. So I'm going to stick that right there. I'm going to go over to operation and click print, then cut. Then I'm going to change the color, and then I'm going to send it to the back. All right, I'm going to move my shows because it's currently in the way. I'm going to grab both of these, go down to combine, and I'm going to unite them. So now my circle and that piece are together. Accidentally changed the size of that. Okay, now I can go back and take my shows, arrange it, bring it to the front, recenter it, make sure it's where I want it to be on here. Then I can grab both of these and click flatten, and I can click both of these and click flatten. So now my TV and my shows are all one piece for each of those. Then I'm going to go back over here. Now I do want these to be a little bit bigger because this is a header for a new page, just like these ones are. So I do want to make them a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to manually make them bigger because I have 2 words. If I just did 5 inches, you know, they would end up being too big. So I'm going to do what I think looks good next to each other. Maybe that. I think that's probably a little bit bigger than the 5, which I think is fine. And again, just kind of going to fit these in here so that way I have some space. All right, so that's those. So let's just look at what this looks like if we chose a different font. So let me find a random font on here that I have in here. Maybe that's a little bit thicker. I think I got this one from defont.com like a long time ago. It's called Crafter, but this is like one of those. It's a really fun font. So let's just look and see what one of these would look like, you know, if I did it in this font. So in this font, same thing. So now the step that we do not need to do, we do not need to unite anything because these do not touch anyway. So that step we can skip right now. These words are not touching. That's really only for any cursive fonts, any calligraphy, cursive, like hand lettered that are touching. That's really only for those fonts. These fonts where, you know, the letters aren't going to touch, you do not need to unite them. So we can skip that step and we'll go straight to changing it to print then cut, we'll go straight to changing the color, and then we'll go straight to creating our offset. So right now this offset is not big enough, so we're going to go until it encapsulates all of my letters. I could say this is good, and then I can just fill in this, or I can keep going. So let's just go ahead and go with that one. We're going to change the color to white. Now there's kind of two spots I kind of want to fix, mainly because this little gap might be hard to cut, and that's more chance for ripping. We could fill in right here if we want to. So I'm just going to go in, I'm going to grab my circle. I don't know why, but circle is the size that I love. Again, I'm going to change this to print and cut. All right, and then I'm also going to change this to white. And then I'm going to send this to the back. Okay, so that takes care of that one. Now if I also want to do these ones, let's try a square, just for kicks and giggles. With the squares though, if you do want to manipulate it, you do sometimes have to click the lock. This one let me, but sometimes some of the shapes won't let you do that. So say I just want to cover up this little piece over here. It's just a really small piece, but I just want to cover that up so that way it doesn't rip when I try to pull it up. So same thing, change it to print and cut, change the color, and then send it to the back. So now that little piece is covered. You could also go in and just like cover up these pieces if you really want to. I mean, this one might be a good one to do. Maybe like a triangle. Would triangle be dumb? I feel like the size is fine. Sometimes you have to manipulate it. Honestly, if it fits, it sits. Send it to back, and there we go. So that just means when it cuts this out, it's not going to have as many pieces that are potentially like could rip easily. That's all this is doing, especially if it's like a font that I feel like could rip a little easier. This is just a nice, easy way to do this. I backed up too much that I lost that. So I'm just going to add this in here. I'm going to try to line it up somewhat with the one that was over here, just so that way we're in the same-ish zone. Again, changing it to print then cut, to white, sending it to the back. All right, I feel like that's a little bit better, less chance of it ripping when I pull it up. So I'm going to go ahead and move my word. I'm going to select all of that, and then I'm going to go down and I'm going to click Unite. And I can move my word, and I can move my word back. I have to bring it to the front. And then I can re-center this where I want it to go. You can also go like this. You can also grab it all, and then you can click Align. You can center it horizontally, and then you can center it vertically. So that way it ends up back in the middle. Usually it's pretty, at least for me, it's pretty easy to just move it myself. But I'm going to grab all of that, and then click Flatten. So that's kind of what you could do if you used a different type of font, you know, that, you know, doesn't connect like these cursive fonts. I think I'm going to keep this one because maybe I'll change it up. I don't know, maybe I'll change it up. And I kind of just make it similar, and then we'll put it on my page. Just like so. Now again, you can literally do these same steps. Say that you want to make your little name thing for your planners. Like if you're like me, I hate writing in my planner. I haven't in a very long time, because every time I do, I mess it up. So say you want to put your name in your planner. I'm going to go through. Let's just make these a little bit closer just so they're touching a little bit more. I'm going to go through, write my name, unite everything, just following all the same steps that we've done over and over. So I have my name here. I'm going to change the color. I'm going to add an offset. And again, the offset is optional. I just think it makes it a lot easier when you're pulling up your stickers later. That's all. change it to white, because again, even if you're printing on paper, white doesn't print. Like, you're not going to see the white. It's really just for the Cricut to know where to cut. Now, that being said, you could totally do a dual tone if you wanted to have black on the inside and your favorite color on the outside, or vice versa, and you want to be able to see your offset. You totally could do that, and you could make this white offset. Like, there is no, let me see if I can grab it. I could do a pink offset, and then I could have my words be blue. And then so when these do print out on paper, oh, I chose like the exact color of my background. So sorry, hold on. So that when I do print this out, like, you would see all of this. So you totally could do that, and you could play around with that. I just prefer to do white because I don't necessarily like to see my offset. So yeah, so you literally could do this, and then you grab it all. I don't really care about these. I'm just going to leave those alone, and I'm going to click flatten, and now this is ready to go. So I'm going to add this onto my page. Now, this is where you would want to go to your planner, because I feel like on each planner, the sizes of the line that you get for your name is all different. So I'm just going to make this like 4.5-ish, something like that. And we're going to hope for the best. But you could do that. You could copy paste, and you can add multiple of these if you wanted to. So maybe I want to make sure I have a teeny tiny one because I want one for my mini planner. And then again, I just always orient these to fit on this page as best I can. Maybe I want a bigger version of this. So I'm going to go in and just make a nice big version. Let's do all the way. All the way, just like so. And then, you know, you have extra space. So if there's anything else that you're wanting to add, you could totally add that. But I'm just going to go ahead and just add a couple more of these, because why not? I always need name things. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so now we are ready to print. I'm actually going to get rid of this square that we put on our page. I'm just going to delete it. You can either delete it, or you can click this eyeball and hide it and pretend that it's not there. Then I'm going to grab everything on my page, and I'm going to go down to this button, attach. The reason why I do this, because if I were to just go to make, so I did not click attach yet, if I were to just go to make, the way I laid out everything is not how it's going to keep it. And sometimes that's not what we want. So right now it's telling me that all of this stuff now has to fit on 2 pages. I do not want them to fit on 2 pages. I did this specifically so these could fit on 1 page. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to click cancel. I'm going to grab everything, and I'm going to click attach. What that is going to do is it's going to leave it in the spot that I put it in. Now, if I see over here, if like a little, usually like a yellow cone will pop up, a yellow or red cone. If I do that, which, let's see, let's remember what this is, 6.72, hold on, I'm writing these down, so I can change it back to what I had it at, but 9.1. So if I were to make this a little bit bigger, ooh, I can make it that big. Sometimes it's like hit or miss. Okay, there we go. So now this little thing popped up. Now it's too big for me to do the print and cut, which is not what we want. So I'm going to click back, and I'm going to have this go back down to the size I had it before. And then that little red flag over there went away. So I'm going to keep it at this size because I know that's the size I can print it at for my print and cut. So now I'm going to click print or make or whatever word was there. And now you can see it's all on 1 page ready to go. So now I'm going to go ahead and send this over to my printer, and then we'll follow the prompts here, and then it'll print and cut all these, and then that is it. So that is how you make your own words, your names, whatever you might need for your planner. Again, dafont.com is a great website to get all the fun fonts because there's literally so many that you could find. You just cannot use them for selling. So you can't, you can't say, oh, I now know how to do this. Let me go and make people, their name things for their planner, and you're using fonts from Dafont. Like, you can't do that. So make sure that you're only using these for these specific fonts from dafont.com for personal use. They are not to sell. So just keep that in mind. But hopefully this video was helpful of how to at least work through Cricut Design Space in making these. Now, this is how I do it. You know, other people might do this a completely different way, which is totally fine. There might be easier ways out there, but this is the way that I have figured out. This is what I always do. This is what works for me. And honestly, I use these same steps for other stickers as well. Like when I'm making like decorative stickers, I literally use these same steps. So hopefully this helps you guys, but I wanted to make a quick, I know this was not as quick as I was hoping it to be, but hopefully just going through several times step by step with this will help you be able to figure out how to use it. Hopefully if you have had a Cricut for a long time and have been too afraid to try some things, you know, again, hopefully this just kind of helps you out a little bit for that. I will link down below the sticker paper that I use. I have a white paper that I use, and then I have a clear sticker paper that I use. They're from labels.com or onlinelabels.com, I think is what it's called. But I will link them down below in this video so that way you know what papers I use. And then make sure to hop over to the video, or it'll be coming up shortly and within the next few days after this video posts. But I will have a video using these exact stickers that I just showed you how to make, so that way you can kind of see them in action and see what they actually look like. But I really just wanted this video to specifically be how do you set these up in Cricut Design Space, how do you get the font, all that good stuff. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, this might not be like the easiest way to do it, but this is the way that I have learned to do it, and honestly, it really doesn't take me that long anymore to do it this way, and it's super quick. So hopefully this helps you guys out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give a thumbs up and subscribe, and I hope I'll see you in my next one. Bye!